Hey folks, Red Labor here. I hope you're having a great day, and I want to talk about this coming election, Israel, Jewish voters, and evangelical Christians. As I've said many times before, there's not really a whole lot to be excited about. It's Obama versus Romney. Neither men are terrible people on a personal level, but both of them are equally unfit for office. I've talked many times as to why both of them are unfit, so I'm just going to leave it at that. What I want to discuss is this misnomer that exists. This misnomer that somehow Barack Obama is anti-Zionist, or even worse yet, anti-Semitic. It's just not true. Now, briefly as stated, myself as an individual, anybody who knows me on a personal level knows this about me. I am pro-Israel. I've always been pro-Israel. Now that's going to confuse some people. Be like, well, I thought you leftists don't like Israel. Well, that's probably the case. That's probably the case most of the time these days. But my politics is of the old left, and I seen I can make a correlation between Jewish immigration to Palestine with the purpose of escaping anti-Semitic oppression all around the world, and with the Jewish community, many of them coming from Europe, truthfully and objectively speaking, bringing with them a socialist vision of what this Jewish society is supposed to be like. Henceforth, the kibbutz that exists over there. Israel was created as a socialist state. And while, unfortunately, in the last 35, 40 years, the country has shifted right with various electoral victories every election cycle for the Likud party taking place. Israel is still largely socialist. Free medical care, strong labor movements, a lot of state-owned enterprise, is basically um, basically a Middle East version. It's a social democratic oasis in the Middle East, basically, in spite of the Likud government being in charge right now. My point is, that is my point. I mean, and I'm a socialist, and I support Israel. I'm not Jewish, but I do consider myself a Zionist. So I am therefore a socialist Zionist. That out of the way. Let's talk about a non-socialist that's accused of being a socialist all the time, and that would be President Barack Obama. There is a lie going around that Barack Obama is anti-Israel. And you have a bunch of right-wing activists in America taking the side of a foreign head of state over the leader here in this country. Now, I'm no fan of Barack Obama for many reasons, but in this feud that existed between Barack Obama and Benjamin Netanyahu in the last several years, I am so totally on Barack Obama's side on this one, because Benjamin Netanyahu is a fucking prick. He's an asshole. He's no better than the Hamas shitholes of human debris that Hamas is. He's no better than they are. Call me anti-Semitic for disliking the Israeli Prime Minister. I'm going to tell y'all to fuck off, because I am not anti-Semitic. I'm pro-Israel. I just think that Benjamin Netanyahu is a prick. And in this instance, Barack Obama is in the right and the Israeli Prime Minister is in the wrong. Barack Obama and the Obama administration has not turned their back toward Israel. I want that stated. Get rid of the misnomer that Obama has turned his back on Israel. It's just not true. All you have to do is look at the UN. Every time Israel defends themselves, and even as much as a prick as Netanyahu is, there are going to be times, even in his administration, where Israel's defending themselves, and they're pretty much right 80% of the time, even under his watch. And the thing about it is, the UN wants to go and beat up on Israel. I love the UN, but they're wrong on their anti-Zionism. The thing about it is that when they go and beat up on Israel and having resolutions to denounce Israel for whatever, for them defending themselves, pretty much, during the Obama administration, how did the U.S. vote at the UN? They voted no, and they vetoed, and they had Israel's back. Who appoints the people into the UN from January 2009 onto the present? The Obama administration. So to suggest that Obama is anti-Israel is just bollocks, bullshit. It's just not so. And there's a reason why the Republican and the hard right are doing this. For starters, they want to win over Jewish supporters. They want Jewish voters. And Jewish people have largely voted Democratic, including their overwhelming support for Barack Obama, which I predict will not change. Because Jewish people, Jewish Americans, are the second most loyal group to the Democratic Party, to African Americans. And they're probably the most liberal ethnic group, period, of all ethnic groups in this country. And Jewish people are not single issue voters. They're going to vote Democratic in this election because they have liberal values. I mean, you're not going to find too many Jews at a Tea Party. You're more likely to find them at Occupy Wall Street. You're more likely to find them supporting the ACLU than supporting Pat Robertson's Christian Coalition. You're more likely to find Jewish people fighting hard for gay marriage and not trying to ban gay marriage. You're liable in just about any progressive cause you can imagine. And as a socialist, I can tell you there's plenty of people of the Jewish faith in the movement, secular and religious alike, in the movement. No way in hell. No way in hell the Republicans are going to win over their support. And the Jewish people know that the right traditionally can never be trusted, because they have always traditionally and historically been the victim of the political right. Now, I'm not saying that the Republicans are going to go and discriminate against Jews or be Nazis to them. Absolutely not. I'm not even faintly suggesting that. But I understand why the Jewish people are squeamish about right-wing politics in general, even the softer, moderate type of the right. It's not conducive to their values, and therefore Jewish people are going to remain liberals. There's another angle to this. The religious right, evangelicals, a group that I do think are anti-Semitic whilst being staunchly for Israel. And I know that sounds kind of like a paradox there, but it isn't. They are wanting to rush in biblical prophecy, and to me, many of them, if they had their way with Israel would end up being nuked in this cataclysmic, apocalyptic world clash between the West and Islam. So, and they want to make Iran the new evil society. Now, Iran's government Iran's government, they're shitty. you know, fuck Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and all of them in Iran with their persecution of leftist trade unionists and hanging gays and lesbians at squares in Iran. Fuck them. But you know, the thing about it is that the religious right wants to use the Jews to start World War III. And, you know, that in a way makes them no better than Islamic jihadists wanting to do the same thing. So, you know, I think that many of them are going to be nervous about that. And so, therefore, with regard to what's going on in the Middle East and everything, well, going back to Benjamin Netanyahu being the problem between the Obama administration and what's going on in Israel, I will take the word of former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who is the Israeli Defense Minister. And he basically said that the United States government and the government of Israel has never been closer and never been more friendlier to one another than they are today. So while there is this global grandstanding between Barack Obama and Benjamin Netanyahu, don't buy the hype. They may dislike each other, and it is what it is, that they don't like each other. But when it comes down to policy, the United States and Israel has never been closer to each other, and that's not going to change in the Obama administration if he's reelected in a few weeks from now. So, as I said, I will take the word of the current Israeli defense minister over the words of Benjamin Netanyahu, or the religious right, or the neocons out there. Comment away, folks, and thank you.